My name's Adam Lean. I come from Seymour, Connecticut. I was born in Bridgeport, Park City Hospital in 1982. In 2012, my mom passed away from cancer. My father has been dead since I was little. I never really knew him. And when my mom passed away, I became homeless and basically started going into the psych unit for a place to stay instead of going to a shelter. The only thing I knew my whole life was to be an alcoholic because I've been drinking for 26, 27 years. You just get real tired of it, like who wants to be in a hospital, who wants to be living in a rehab, or who, I'm basically homeless, like, you know what I'm saying, I have no home, I have nothing for nothing.
Last year, I was leading the grant committee with Dan and Blair, who are now third-year students at the medical school. So what we did was we assembled a team of students, and essentially we collected applications from organizations all over New Haven.
15 organizations submitted proposals. For every proposal, we sent interviewers to meet with representatives of the organization.
We had a big meeting where we got to learn about each of the projects that all these wonderful organizations were working on, and decide how we can allocate funding to them.
So we looked for impact, we looked for scalability, we looked for creativity, we looked for, is this doing something that isn't occurring as best as we can tell?
Some of the organizations just seemed more in tune with the community or had been established there for a long time and really knew what the community needed.
So another thing we sort of considered was, is our fund a seed? The idea that if this was successful, they could then be applying for $100,000 grants or larger grants to expand. And so
they're like, you're homeless and unemployed. You have all day. No, you don't. You have all day to survive. You have all day to try to get something to eat, a couple dollars in your pocket, transportation here and there, worry about where you're going to stay at night.
I got a pretty good education. I did pretty well in school. I went to college for a little while. In my late 30s, I got sick with depression and anxiety, and I was hospitalized, and I couldn't believe like it happened. The first year, I was pretty much like not really even capable of even working on a regular basis. I didn't have the physical strength, I didn't have the mental strength. And at some point, I had to go into the system, the shelter system, because I really didn't know what else to do.
When you're in a homeless situation, every little step is fighting against the odds.
Liberty's focus is to end and prevent homelessness. That's the bottom line of what we do. We are really grateful for the auction money because the auction money is used to meet basic needs, right where the rubber meets the road. If a person is hungry, feed them. If a person's cold, make them warmer. If a person's sick, get them to the doctors. So we use it for things like that. We buy underwear, socks, things like that that people really need right now. In addition to that, we try to set aside some of the money to help people acquire housing, remove a barrier to securing housing. So in that way, ending homelessness. We're going to continue to find new ways to end homelessness and prevent homelessness with urgency and dignity.
I'm just starting to believe now the reality of I'm actually going to be like living in my own apartment, getting the help that I need, being able to eventually go back to work full time. I feel like the sky's the limit, so I want to finish my degree. And I just want to have a safe place to be able to spend time with my son. I'll have my family come over, my nieces.
Having Yale's students, the medical students, invest in us tells other people that we're worth an investment. To that end, we've gotten things like diversion funds. Last year it was $19,000. This year it was $30,000 to divert people from shelter. We have also gotten bank foundation grants. Last year it was a couple $1,000s. This year I think it was more like $8,000. So that money keeps kind of growing.
Liberty Safe Haven definitely gives you some tools, resources, and a backup. I'm housed permanently. I love my building. I've received so much help and support from Liberty Safe Haven, and my life is changing for the better
The van is a 40-foot mobile healthcare clinic. We see, on average, about 25 to 30 patients per day. The van operates 5 days per week, weekdays, and we do health fairs and other things during the course of the week. We recognize that people in the community, despite the fact that they might have some kind of insurance or other activities, were just not accessing care. So we decided to sort of turn healthcare on its head and really deliver healthcare right on the footsteps of the people who really needed it.
Everything you have in a regular medical exam room is here. We can do breathalyzers, drugs, tox screens, quick strips, do INDs, but no suturing here because the bus does move a little bit. We also have the great ability to give the medication immediately. Most medications I keep on hand are hypertension medicines, antibiotics, especially for sexually transmitted diseases, diabetic meds, a lot of antifungal meds. We also have a refrigerator with vaccines and the tuberculosis test.
We really try to provide services for those homeless patients who are really also in need of ancillary medical services, and that can be as low threshold as just getting a physical exam and screen for tuberculosis so that they can have the necessary paperwork to get into housing, to incredibly complex, challenging patients who really need a huge array of wraparound services. The Hunger and Homeless auction proceeds have helped the van in a number of different ways.
We use most of it to buy the medications and the testing strips, the HIV test kits, the immunizations.
One of the things that the money has allowed us to do is to really focus and concentrate and improve the quality of those services for people who are transitioning from the criminal justice system.
People are really appreciative. You feel like you're really helping the people who really need it the most. I get more hugs here than a day than anywhere, so they just are really happy.
She basically told me what her position was, that she was a connector. I didn't know what the hell that was. It wasn't really any of my concern. I was like, yeah, this lady's gonna help me, just like they all said they were gonna help me. Like, who would have thought, like, it would have went this far, and like, now I'm working and stuff.
The peer support program is peers helping peers. And what I mean by that is we train people in recovery, mental health, and addiction, to help others dealing with mental health and addiction.
What I could do for them was share my experience, strength, and hope first and foremost, get to know them, where they came from, and see where their head's at, because not everybody wants to help themselves. I am also in recovery, and I have a few years under my belt, so I've also been through a lot, like most addicts have.
The money we received from the grant, we used towards Amory's pay. We used it for her mileage, and we also she used it to buy them coffee, breakfast, lunch, anything that would help them engage better.
We thought this is a really creative approach. This is a pilot program for something that doesn't exist. We gave them $10,000. They had matching funding from another organization contingent on our grant. So they got $20,000, my understanding was, to start this program, and with the idea that if this was successful, they could then be applying for $100,000 grants or larger grants to expand.
She met people on the way out when they were leaving the crisis program, and she found out where they were going to be, and she continued working with them. I think she actually worked with 28 different people.
I saw something in Adam. I saw many sparks of hope. However, I saw a lot of hopelessness too. And whenever I had an opportunity to tell him and look him in the eye and say, you deserve better than what you're giving yourself, I would. I remember we went and got his outfit for his job at Goodwill. I picked it out for him, dressed him all up. And I saw that he was proud of himself, and he got the first job he applied for, so that was awesome.
The project has helped many continue on. As you know from the story with Adam, how far he's come, and we got to give that credit to Anne-Marie.
You gotta hit them streets. You gotta know what you're talking about. You can't just be like, oh, I read about alcoholism in this book, and this guy and his wife, they were dealing with it. Now I know where you're coming from. Nah, shit don't work like that. You gotta walk a mile in somebody's shoes to know where they're coming from. I'm working, I got a roof over my head, like, I got my own food. I'm living a normal, productive life.
I think had I not been on the grants committee, I would never have been aware of the extent to which nonprofits are operating in New Haven to combat both hunger and homelessness, as well as a range of other issues.
If you were to look at it from above, there are these different color threads that connect us depending upon what we're doing, and it becomes a tapestry of services. Hopefully it becomes a safety net where communication happens and keeps people from bottoming out.
One of the things I like about these grassroots strategies is that it really is felt from a group of individuals who are, socially responsible and committed to the community.
I think one of the things that we've always aspired to as organizers of the auction is to use the auction as a vehicle to increase engagement of the greater YSM community.
We're living with the people who run the organizations, the people who benefit from the organizations day in and day out. So it's important for us to get involved.